Hi everyone, I'm Heather Lee, the Frugal Fashionista, here to give you some advice on secondhand clothing. I'm doing this series on thrifting and consignment and how to make secondhand clothing fashionable, sharing some of my tips and tricks of the trade. And so you definitely don't want to miss any part of the series. You want to make sure you subscribe to my channel or to my blog and obviously to Instagram and everything else I'm on, because I've on so many apps and things lately. I'm just like incredibly busy. Show off my cup. My tea is incredibly cold, which is really sad. So in my last video, I talked about reasons why people like myself thrift and go to consignment shops. In this video, I want to talk about basically some tips and tricks on finding things at thrift stores, because I hear from people all the time that they cannot find anything at a thrift store, and I just find that remarkable because I find tons of stuff at thrift and consignment shops. So what I'm going to do is give you some tips on how to find deals at thrift and consignment. Now, in my day job, I study the way people communicate, and so I listen to what people say and what they don't say. And when people tell me they can't find anything at consignment, they're saying one of three things. I don't know how to shop for myself, and I don't know how to style for myself. I really need help. So that's why I like retail, because there's salespeople, there's dress forms, and it just helps me out. I am completely overwhelmed because there are way too many choices. I can afford retail. And the third one is really important, because if you can afford retail, you're going to go for the path of least resistance. Whereas those of us, maybe we've gone through life stages where we didn't have money, which is how my whole brand began. And I talk a little bit about that in the previous video. But when you don't have a choice, you try to work with what you have. So here are some tips on finding things at thrift stores and consignment. First thing, know your body, know your closet, know your style. Most people don't know what they like. They kind of have an idea, but they don't. And so we'll go for the path of least resistance, which usually is yoga pants and sweat clothes, something along those lines, because they all match and they're easy. But when we go into a thrift store, there's so many different options. And we don't really know what looks good on us. We don't know what will pair with our closet. We don't know how to look for outfits. And so because of that reason, we often just walk out. And I'll be honest with you, if this is one of your problems and you tend to gravitate towards this, going to a retail establishment like a department store or mall isn't going to help you either, because you're still going to walk out without any clothes. So know your style, know what's in your closet, and if nothing else, stick with basics, because you can always find basics at a thrift store or consignment, and you don't have to worry about whether or not it matches or fits with anything, and you do save money in the long run. Second tip is to find the times that you can get discounts on thrift stores and consignment. Because here's the thing, I do not pay full price even in thrift and consignment. So I gave a little primer in the last video about the difference between a thrift store and consignment. This is really important when trying to find things for a lower price. Thrift stores will often receive goods sometimes from businesses. Those larger businesses that cannot move the product after their semi-annual sale and they need to get rid of the inventory. And so rather than lose money, they'll just write it off as a tax deduction by donating to one of these charity shops. So you can find things that are brand new with the tags on. In fact, that happened recently. I found a shirt that was at Charlotte Russe. I actually recognized it. It was in their store maybe a month before, and then I found it at the local Goodwill Easter Seals. Brand new with the tags on, probably for 10% of the cost. But you can find these things usually around September, October, or around January, February, after the semi-annual sales are finished. Now, consignment shops typically observe the same type of retail calendar as the bigger stores, because they want to move inventory as well, because people will bring in summer or winter items that they're done with. So around September, August, or January, February, you can find a lot of things in consignment shops that are lower price. Another tip is to suspend your expectations. You do not have as many choices at a thrift store as you would with, say, Forever 21 or Dillard's or any of those other establishments, because you can find it in multiple cuts, multiple styles, multiple sizes. And in thrift stores and consignment, you get what you get. But you really have to suspend those expectations, because if you're looking for something that will meet a very specific need, like a pair of pleated black pants that are cropped and have this particular type of closure, you're not going to find what you're looking for. And I would dare say that you wouldn't find that in retail either if you're that specific in your needs. So sometimes you just have to suspend whatever expectations you have. I went to a thrift store one time and there were at least 50 pink shirts. And a woman said, you know, I can't find the shirt I want. I just want a pink shirt. And she was so frustrated. And I looked at all the pink shirts and I was thinking, how can you not find a shirt? But there are people who really struggle with that. So there may have been some sort of expectation in mind. The other thing with thrift and consignment is you need to know what you're looking for. Now, thrift stores take whatever they're handed. Consignment, because they're trying to make a profit, tend to be a little bit more picky about the stuff that they sell. But in thrift stores, you may find something that's missing a button, or maybe it's scuffed up. In thrift stores, look for things just like any other store. Know what you're looking for in terms of seaming, in terms of fabric. Know what you can and can't fix. Know if your shoes have wear or not. I find a lot of shoes that have very little wear at thrift stores because people wear them once or twice, and I could tell that they're not broken into at all because I'm the one breaking them in. And they wear them once or twice, decide they don't like them, or maybe prom's over, and they decide to just throw it away. You can also find a lot of upscale items at thrift stores if you know where to look, and consignment often has upscale and designer items. So keep in mind that in consignment stores in particular, you might be able to go someplace that specializes in wedding dresses or formal wear or designer goods or upscale goods, because that's what they focus on, and you're still getting that for a less price. So know what you're looking for in terms of quality, and then also learn a couple of life hacks. There are good life hacks and there are bad life hacks, and I need to do a review of some of those. But there are some life hacks that are just really good, and I'll give you a good example. So I found some shoes, barely worn, and honestly they may have been brand new, but because there was scuff marks, somebody decided to donate it. My husband showed me that if you take Goo Gone, which is that little bottle of stuff that's like $2 at your local store, and you buff it out with a cloth, it completely takes the scuff marks out of patent leather shoes. So I have a brand new pair of shiny shoes that look perfectly new, that have very little wear, very little tread, wear on the tread on the bottom of the shoe, and I found it at a thrift store and I paid a lot less money for it. So here are some tips and tricks of thrifting and consignment. I hope that these have been helpful, and I will continue my series with showing you how to style and how maybe even show you how to look for those things, because I know some of you are thinking, how do I know if that's good fabric or not, or how the seaming looks? I'll have to do a tutorial on that as well. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and my blog so you know when my latest videos are up. And whether you're shopping thrift, consignment, or full-on retail, happy shopping.